Okie dokie. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope this night finds you well. It's a full moon, and so I guess there's some, there's, what is it? It's charged, or there's a lot of things happening. Tonight, I want to read about some of these mushroom cults that are emerging and what they're up to, but also what their beliefs are. And then we'll process their theological underpinnings a little bit and see if any of that can be useful. So I'll be back after the intro, and I think we'll have a fun time just reading. It'll be a very cozy stream, so if you want to just chill out or do something while I'm talking or reading, that's also something that I would recommend. So without much further ado, let's play the intro, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes.
But when the show finally turned on for the first time to get the bugs worked out, it's finally in a position where we could turn it on. I had tears in my eyes. There was some problems, there were some bugs that needed to be worked out, little knick-knack, little stuff. But it didn't matter. I seen it. They came to life. For 25 years they've been sitting in a crate, and I just breathed the first breath of life into them. And yet again, there's no words to describe it. I sat here and I cried like a child because my dream had just came true.
I never walk about after dark. It's my point of view. Cause someone could break your neck, coming up behind you, always coming, and you'd never have a clue. And now I look behind all the time. I will wait forever, always looking straight, thinking, counting all the hours you wait. See you on a dark night. 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 And now another clue I would ask if you could help me out. It's hard to understand, cause when you're running by yourself, it's hard to find someone to hold your hand. No, it's gonna be tough for me, but I will wait for you. I need someone else to look into my eyes and tell me, girl, you know you gotta watch your health. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. La 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 la. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. See you on a dark night. See you on a dark night. See you on a dark night. See you on a dark night.
All right. Cheers, everyone. I still have this fabricated microphone set up, so I'm literally talking into a crutch. So take that for what you will. I'm here with my lovely dog, Winnie, who's the sweetest girl in the world. And part of this whole bit with CONSCION and me making a bid for consciousness being a miracle worth sanctifying is that if we're creating a unifying religion, people will be able to have access to things like entheogens, which would include mushrooms, psychoactive things like that, any number of things that would, like mescaline, right? Peyote cactus, things like that, that give people access to direct spiritual encounters. And the other side of the coin for that, to make sure that it's contained, is that it has to have a frame of reference so that it's not just completely out of control and people are just running around and, loopy-doo, very irreverently, which is in contrast to what we may be looking at today and what we may review today of people that are approaching this with a reverence and with a kind of respect that it's due. And then with that, enabling countless people to have access to entheogens and do things like cure their alcoholism, cure chronic severe depression or suicidality, trauma, chronic trauma or things like that. And so these churches are filling in a role that maybe traditional churches aren't fulfilling in terms of providing like a transformational experience. I'm going to change the light. Hold on. Okay. I don't know. I'm like disappearing into this flag, right? Like I just vanish. They're providing something that traditional religions aren't providing. But then the other thing that strikes me is they're providing something that the medical industry, so the psychiatric, psychological, even just general health, things like that, they're filling a role that they're not adequate in fulfilling. And maybe that's a lesson to take, is if people are finding solutions to alcoholism not in the medical industry but in the religious field by having spiritual encounters with entheogens, or just having like a religious community of support, right? Maybe we've been looking for answers in the wrong place, thinking that psychiatry can solve depression or solve suicide. If the problem isn't a chemical imbalance or isn't an internal issue, but is more of a relational thing with your world, and it's something that if you don't have a spiritual comprehension, like an understanding of your way with the world or how you are within it, it's so easy to feel alienated and disconnected. So without much further ado, let's pull up. We're going to do a lot of reading. And then if you can't tell, I'm losing my voice. So, oh my God, it's so hot. But I feel like it's so important to share this stuff. And so here I am. Here we go. Boop, boop. And I think we'll just pull it over a little, right? Come on now. Do. Okay. So there's this thing that happened. This picture is so salacious. I want to make it big, but I don't think it's worth it, right? If we do like this, and then I do like open, and then I go full screen, and I zoom. Did we get it? Whoa. All right. And then I just need to get myself out of there. Here, like this. Boom. So this is a picture. This is so embarrassing, right? This is in, we'll read about it. But this is in Oakland, California. There was a church that had tinctures of mushrooms that they were selling. Not selling, but basically if you paid money to be a member, then they would share their stock of psychedelics with you. And so the police came and raided these people. It's so humiliating, right? Like, these people are basically just goons. They come in, they had to actually saw the safes open because, of course, you know, the people are principled. And hold on, we're going to go back. They're like, we're not providing you the code to the safe, you goons. But regardless of all of that, they get busted. And the issue is that, you know, they give it out as a sacrament. It was in 2020, right? So this is new law. The police and like state law enforcement isn't quite sure what is or isn't illegal constitutionally with these churches. And so these churches operate within this kind of treacherous area where there's a chance that they could just have the rug pulled out from under them, right? Like, it's kind of, for me, I feel like it creates a psychic distress, right? Like, it's hard to feel a sense of peace and at ease if at any moment the government could just hammer you. And I myself, as a person growing up in the South when it was like very restrictive with drugs and very conservative, I have like an internal trauma about that. Like, if I were to do psychedelics, I would really need to have a clean frame that it's safe and that I'm not like in any kind of legal jeopardy to feel completely clear. And even then I might have like a residual psychic or like a residual thing in my psyche, not psychic, that's not the right word, right? But in my psyche of despair. Because, and like I said the other week, I went to college, and a peer of mine, I'd like to call him a friend, a peer of mine, Ross Ulbricht, you know, he gets busted apparently for running the Silk Road. They give him life sentences and he has no victims, no bodies or anything. So like there are people I've seen that have been nailed and they've spent over a decade now in prison because of associations with controlled substances, right? And things that actually save people's lives. So blah, blah, blah. They went through, they're serving a lawsuit, but the fun details here is they searched the church. They had $200,000 worth of cannabis and mushroom products, a computer and cash totaling more than $4,500, blah, blah, blah. And then I think they had like 40,000 also. And of course, when this happens, the police, they seize everything. And then it's evidence, like all your money, everything that they grab, all your property, and they basically just hang on to it for an indeterminate length of time. But this was my first encounter with this. I was like, holy crap, there's actually a church. These brave guys are actually like dealing with the local police and trying to run a church. And so apparently this guy has kept up with it. And so if you have the patience, I'll read this article with you. And then I actually want to go straight to their website and learn about their stuff with you too. So we can do a little reading and discussion. And I hope that you'll entertain my voice. I hope it's not too gravelly. The San Francisco church has 115,000 members, yet might be illegal. The psychedelic pastor says he wants to open a mega church to host 1,000 person mushroom ceremonies. Imagine that. By the way, let's get. Can we get this guy on main? Hold on. David Hodges. Of course, it's another David, right? Church. This guy. I love that. I'm sure he has to know, right? This was deliberate. I mean, come on, right? He's just whatever. We'll let him have it, right? But look at that guy. He's got some stuff. He's smug because he knows he's got the good shit, right? And there's something fun about people that understand, and this is some of my confidence too, of these things have value, and even while they've been regulated and illegal, because they're so important, people have kept up relations with them, even at the threat of personal peril. The other wild thing is that psychedelics play an influence in your life, whether or not you yourself use them. Things like the person that recognized the structure of DNA used psychedelics, and all sorts of inventions and technology have like a psychedelic quality. Even if somebody's not using chemicals, they might have, in dream states while they're not awake. That fictive, non-real realm of, what some people could say could or would be hallucination is something that if it has enough traction with us for whatever reason, we can make it into a reality. If it's something that is viable, right? But there's some delivery there where there's a vision of something that could be, and then a pursuit and an attainment of it. Without the vision, would it ever be attained? It's not like it'll just be an accident, right? And so much of the world you live in today is a consequence of hallucination, fiction, imagination, the non-real, the complete, just speculative, right? And let's take credit on that. All right, enough rambling. Dave Hodges wasn't sure if he would be a free man right now. He's the pastor of the Church of Ambrosia, an organization dedicated to distributing magic mushrooms. He opened his Zydor Church in Oakland in 2019, and when he expanded to San Francisco last year, he could openly acknowledge the venue could land him in jail. Or he openly acknowledged the venue could land him in jail. Poor guy. But Hodges says it's his spiritual calling to provide access to psilocybin mushrooms, so he went ahead and opened the church. Over a year later, not only is Hodges not in jail, but he might just be the busiest pastor in the Bay Area. In an interview earlier this month, he told SF Gate his church has added 35,000 members since he expanded to San Francisco, and it now counts more than 115,000 members. The church's meteoric rise has not been without controversy. Some psychedelic groups view Hodges' freewheeling approach to distributing psychedelics as dangerous because almost anyone can receive the drugs. Spiritual access. This is the big thing of you're giving it to anyone. Yeah, right? Others argue that his religion is not authentic because he's proffering drugs as sacraments without a deeper connection to his members. Some of his own church's employees have come out in opposition to his work, whatever. They just got fired, telling the Examiner, blah, blah, blah. The church is allegedly racially discriminatory toward employees of color. So he got into an argument with some minority employees, and then he's in deep shit now. Hold on. How goofy. He denies these claims. Come on. Look at him. Despite the criticism, the Church of Ambrosia continues to push the boundaries of distributing psychedelic mushrooms to the public. Hodges has one of the best supplies of psilocybin products in the world and is running a cutting-edge psilocybin testing program, offering his members products that he says have been tested for potency and purity, unlike what you would get off of the street, which is what happens when it's criminalized, which he says will radically improve how people use the drug because it will be predictable. You can actually have a reasonable dose and you can have a good projection of what you're in for. He also wants to expand his footprint even further, telling SF Gate that he's actively looking for a massive new venue where he can host thousands of congregants and possibly have people taking psychedelics on site. This is a great idea. I think it's a great idea, but it has to be staffed and it has to have people that are experienced. It's kind of like a peer support thing. And in essence, you have to be ready for people to bomb out. And so you have to have like the layers of support for any kind of outcome in a psychedelic experience, right? Like this would be, what would be ideal here is that these people are so, they're such veterans that they can accommodate any kind of situation you may find yourself in while in the nebula of entheogenic religious psychedelic experience, right? Now maybe that's high in the sky, but I sure as hell bet these guys will treat you way better than the fucking police, and these guys will treat you better than the ER staff, right? So there you go. We'd like to find a megachurch home, somewhere where we could fit 1,000+ people on a regular basis, Hodges said. A megachurch filled with people religiously tripping on magic mushrooms would be an incredible milestone for the Church of Ambrosia, especially considering it's breaking the law every single day. I don't think this is wrong. I disagree with the San Francisco Gate, whomever wrote this article. Lester Black, the cannabis editor, who we should expect more of, Lester Black. He says it's breaking the law. Where are we? Where are we? Blah, blah, blah. I totally lost it. I'm just so gassed up. This is too much to read, right? It's breaking the law every day. It is if we don't have the First Amendment rights, which is the right to the free expression of religion, free practice of religion, and that means that we get to use things that people use religiously. And guess what, losers? There's a thousands years tradition of using entheogens that are natural on our planet, and also entheogens that are cooked, because guess what, we cooked stuff too, like peyote was cooked. There's a thousands years human history of using these for religious reasons, and thus under the First Amendment law in the United States, it cannot be illegal if it is used in a religious context. If I'm at a Skrillex concert and I'm getting a blowjob in the bathroom, that is not a religious application. Right? That's a different situation. But here, see, he's just out of touch. Thousands of pounds of magic mushrooms. It's as old as human history. Exactly. Indigenous groups of Central America outlawed the drug in the 1970s. Blah, blah, blah. A bunch of people are bringing it back. Lots of states are changing their laws. Like Colorado is decriminalizing it. But it's like this stupid thing. It's like, can you sell it? Can you buy it? Can you possess? You can possess it, but you can't sell it, or whatever. Is that what it is? They just need to get over it. The Church of Ambrosia has grown with this groundswell of interest in psilocybin, providing some of the easiest access to the drug in the Bay Area. Hodges found his church in 2019 on the belief that taking large doses of psilocybin allows people to connect with God. Hard to argue. He has said he believes that he has been called upon to share these mushrooms with the world. So he claims a messianic quality. Adults can join the church online by paying a $5 fee, submitting a photo of their government ID, and answering an 8-question application. Do you work for the law enforcement? Oh no. Once admitted, they can visit the church in San Francisco, the one in Oakland. They have 24-hour guards. He spends $29,000 a week on security. At the new location in San Francisco, members check in at the front desk. They're then taken to a light-filled second floor room where they can select from a long menu of items that include various strains of raw mushrooms, as well as edible products like infused magic mushroom chocolates. The church also sells vape pens with DMT. And wow. The intention is for members to use it in conjunction with magic mushrooms, giving them a more powerful psychedelic experience. This guy's really far out. During an August visit to the San Francisco location, SF Gate witnessed a constant stream of church members entering the building and purchasing products. Hodges declines to tell SF Gate the quantity of psilocybin mushrooms his organization is distributing, but given he counts over 115,000 members, if each member received even just 1 gram of the drug, then it would add up to thousands of pounds of product coming out of the Church of Ambrosia. Excuse me. This is like copy Copperson. Lots of copy. I got a story. I want to get someone in jail for helping people. The Church of Ambrosia's booming business has created an awkward situation for authorities in Oakland and San Francisco. Local governments in both cities have expressed support for psychedelics like psilocybin, but only by passing non-binding resolutions, instructing law enforcement to deprioritize policing psychedelics, which is such a this is not a policy solution, okay? This is like a weird band-aid, and it's just like it's so bad. In my region, they made stealing legal in this fashion because they won't prioritize theft under a certain amount of money. So if you get $500 stolen from you, they have deprioritized policing it. See? But if I have a pound of dried mushrooms, I get a felony, right? I go to freaking lifey jail. Not lifey jail, but big time jail. Bad. That hasn't made selling magic mushrooms legal, nor has it set up any regulations for how to deal with an organization like Hodges that openly distributes the drug. The church's East Bay location was raided by Oakland police in 2020. Hodges quickly reopened after only a few days, and he responded by filing a federal lawsuit against the city of Oakland, alleging religious discrimination. Last year, he agreed to table his federal lawsuit against the city after Oakland allowed Zydor to apply for a conditional use permit to continue operating as a church. That's interesting. He may have been able to set precedent here, but it's so expensive. And his life is already so contorted by this whole thing. I understand why he didn't want to set case law, because it's more important that he operate to help people have access. You know? Why is my frame rate so bad, huh? Hold on, let's see where we're going. All right. Law enforcement agencies in both cities have not taken any clear action against... hold on, why is this over here, huh? You go there. Okay, whatever. We need to do this. No. please. And then, okay, cool. Since the raid, they have an amicable relationship with the police department. They ask for surveillance footage. Oh, when there's a neighborhood crime surrounding the church on Howard Street. So they don't know what to do with it, etc., etc. They visit the church. So here's the thing, they don't take mushrooms on the property. You give them to the people and they're free to use them as they wish. And obviously they're given with all kinds of guidance and instruction, but I like his sensibility that eventually he wants to have a venue where people can have a group religious experiences, because that will be more conducive to a that like spiritual dynamic or whatever. Go to your safe space and have a ceremony. We've had stabbings and regular overdoses and all sorts of crazy situations happen on the street right next to us. This is not a safe space or safe place for people to do mushroom ceremonies. Yeah, even he says it. There's this controversy about the discrimination. I don't even care. You guys can read about it. Keeping people safe. Here. This is really important. Despite the controversy, Hodges has continued to expand his church's operation, rolling out a new testing method that he says will keep people safer when they consume psilocybin. There are growing concerns over the safety of magic mushrooms products, which are entirely unregulated. After the FDA announced in June that more than 100 people became sick after consuming contaminated psilocybin mushroom chocolates, 2 deaths were apparently linked. They could be nut allergy deaths. That's so stupid. Yeah, synthetic drugs, exactly. This is exactly the problem. All products distributed by the Church of Ambrosia have been tested to make sure they contain only naturally occurring psilocybin and psilocin, the 2 active compounds in magic mushrooms. He says their products have also been tested for potency of the active compounds. This potency testing is a step further than what the vast majority of magic mushrooms products undergo. They're sold in the illicit market. They lack dosing information. They don't indicate how much has been put in each product. Depending on if they've been stored properly or improperly, their potency could, be very strong or very weak. 40 times more potent than another mushroom of the same size, depending on the variety. His method allows his church members to use the substance in a much safer and more controlled manner. It's absolutely the most important thing as far as keeping people safe. His entire mission, it's not commercial, right? Like he has he has to pay the bills like the security guard. But his entire mission is to, is like a beneficence. If you want people to have good experiences, you have to actually tell them what they are consuming. Imagine if the medical industry did that. Hodges says his commitments to his religion and his beliefs that psychedelic mushrooms and DMT will offer spiritual redemption to people has not changed, despite the ongoing city code issues and allegations from his own staff and a lingering threat of law enforcement. This doesn't even address the federal law enforcement, right? Like if the DEA wanted to crack them down. People are like, smoking weed is legal in my state. It's like, you're such an idiot. It's not, because there's federal laws against it, right? Like they haven't remedied those things yet. Sorry if I'm being punchy or whatever. San Francisco's busiest psychedelic pastor said he still believes he's on the same righteous path he set out on 5 years ago. This is something I believe more than anything else. And we have hundreds, if not thousands, of people who say this has made a major impact on their life. It's what I know is right and what I know I need to be doing. So, have fun, huh? The Church of Ambrosia, it's ambrosia.church, and that's it. They got a good URL. ambrosia.church. So, their religious doctrine involves the stoned ape theory. Should we read it? It's not very long. Oh, it's different, see? They're making a distinction. This does not do justice. All right, here we go. All right, we'll give him a full air. The new stoned ape theory, which they term it as the religious evolution doctrine. For your consideration, friends. How many are people even watching this? Goodness gracious, right? That would be something, right? We got some people, right? Nope, we don't. Our story begins approximately 2.5 million years ago, during a time of drastic climate change. Driven out of their forest homes by widespread fires, our ancient hominid ancestors sought refuge in the unfamiliar terrains of the grasslands. The survivors of this massive displacement united in their struggle for survival, setting up camp and embarking on the urgent search for food. Having spent their entire lives amid the branches of trees, the vast expanse of the grasslands was alien to them. Nonetheless, they were guided by two key survival instincts. They could eat insects, and whatever insects were eating was also likely safe for consumption. It was while following a trail of insects that these ancient apes first encountered mushrooms. It's like Timon and Pumbaa or whatever, Timon and Pumbaa, where they roll the log over and there's all the bugs. Uncertain of the edibility of these peculiar growths, one courageous ape took the first step, consuming the mushroom while the rest watched with bated breath. Hoo, 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 hoo. Magic mushrooms, especially when fresh, are quite appealing in taste, and our hungry ancestral ape readily filled its belly with them. This first encounter marked a crucial turning point in our journey toward becoming human and catalyzed the rebirth of the earliest form of religion, the transcendent mystic experience. The experience this brave ape underwent was profoundly transformative. Consuming a high dose of these magic mushrooms opened a door to another dimension. This allowed the ape to interact with what could be described as ethereal entities or spiritual guides. This profound interaction seemed like a deep dialogue that extended beyond ordinary perception. The first and most crucial gift from this dialogue was the concept of language. Regardless of the absence of structured language as we know it, this ape began to perceive and express complex ideas. This ape's new goal was to spread this information and introduce others to the mushrooms. And it's like, holy shit, this is pretty nice. The doctrine of religious evolution proposes that magic mushrooms catalyzed both the evolution of human communication and the emergence of religion itself. Our ancestral apes, okay, there we go. Our ancestral apes, having experienced these otherworldly entities, endeavor to convey their experiences, trying to explain concepts as profound as spirits and God to each other. Magic mushrooms have myriad applications across numerous levels. It's interesting, I wonder, so he uses DMT to enhance mushrooms. What why is it just mushrooms? Like, he's fixated on it, and that's fine. Like, that, it's good that he has a mushroom church, but is that all that is there, right? And even with this theory, is it only mushrooms, right? Like, we have the ergot fungus that grows on rye wheat or something, right? And that is what drove people crazy, and they later synthesized LSD from, I think. So there's all kinds of different sources. But this is where he is. He's doing good work. With doses ranging from as little as 100 milligrams to cosmic levels of 50 plus grams, mushrooms have the potential to facilitate a deep connection with our true selves and what exists beyond our ordinary realm. This is clear. You don't have an LD50 here. You're not dying from 50 grams of mushrooms. This person's going to throw up and they might be shitting their pants and throwing up everywhere, but they're not going to die. Yeah. From a scientific standpoint, magic mushrooms are also thought to promote the formation of new neural pathways in the brain. Various studies suggest that psilocybin, the psychoactive compound in these mushrooms, might enhance neuroplasticity. Potentially boosting cognitive capacities. In a way, one could argue that psilocybin actually makes you smarter. Whatever. He's being like a salesman now. Thus, we have. I would cut this. I would just cut that. Thus, we see a confluence of science and spirituality in the story of our evolution, suggesting a symbiotic relationship between the two that has been instrumental in shaping the course of human history. How does cannabis fit in? That's curious. Yeah, this might answer my earlier question. The use of cannabis has to do with the use of one's inner eye. A complaint from a person who does not like cannabis explains it best. Every time I smoke, it's as if there's a giant inner eye that turns on me and shows me everything that is wrong with my life. What? That may be the best way to understand the advanced entheogenic use of cannabis. Maybe this is like, is this talking about the psychotic paranoia qualities of THC or something? Is that what this is about? Once someone learns to focus their inner eye, cannabis allows them to use it to understand life, the world, and the teachings from the spirits that communicate through mushrooms and other entheogens. Hold on. I got a sippy sippa. My sense of this is, I don't know, the folk wisdom I always heard was, if you want to have less confusion and chaos in your trip and have it be less disturbed, then you want to stay away from any other chemicals, right? You just want to have whatever the particular thing is by itself. And then especially if you add cannabis, that creates like a, like that distractible ADD, kind of like lose track of things. And so the organized part of your mind is even less organized on top of whatever is going on with your entheogens. And so, like, while cannabis might be something that's nice to use at the ending, or when, things are calming down and like the tide is falling and you can kind of like mellow out. My sense of it always was using cannabis, while you're tripping, and even using like epic doses of cannabis. I don't know, right? It's just like messy. It's like, kitchen sink seasoning, right? Like, okay, are you going to start drinking beer too, or get some opiates in the mix? And there's people that do that, but at that point you're just, that's just like drug abuse, right? Okay, like, just call it drug abuse. I don't know. That might be a little too racy though, right? But in moderation, all things in moderation. They make this distinction. All right, so there's that. These people seem nice. What's the thing? Hold on. I'm wondering if there's something on the site that we don't want to miss. Press, locations. Yeah, so anyways, they're worth checking out. So I wanted to look at what other churches there are. And there's this church here that's in Austin. And what is it? The Sacred Synthesis. Home of the Universal Sacrament. We are a nonprofit church. This is in Austin, Texas, right? I wanted to see, there's California where it's more accommodating, right? Like they let people get away with so much in California. I wanted to see in Texas what it's like. Austin, Texas is like, baby California or whatever at this point, or like the refugee state of Californians, but this is what's going on over there. Dedicated to furthering our spiritual development and communing with Source, God, Spirit. How's that for a thing? Source, God, Spirit. Through our circumscribed, which is just a big word for careful, consumption of our sacrament. Our sacrament is produced through a sacred synthesis, which represents the reunion of spirit/nature with science/medicine, and further symbolizes a return to our ancient roots. I'd rewrite that. Blah, blah, blah. So the thing is, instead of this, they use psilomethoxin, which is from, I don't even know, is that from toads or something? It's a particular fungus. And I guess it has to be distinct from psilocin, right? What's wild though is that, look at this is fun. The church's mission is to build a sacred community aligned with spiritual/religious. Hold on, am I chopping the words? Uh-oh. We'll do like this. Aligned with, see, these slash things are a lot. I like doing the slashes, but you gotta like contain it at some point. You can't just slash all day. The church's mission is to build a sacred community of aligned spiritual/religious practitioners. Ultimately, the church intends to create a global community of members who are jointly committed in raising the vibrational frequency of humanity and returning to a more symbiotic relationship with Mother Earth. That seems like a spiritual belief, and it seems like it's not baloney. They apply, they get chosen, they accept the agreement, you pay the annual and monthly membership fees. If your credit card bounces, you are no longer a member of the church. I don't know. I have a bother with this, but I understand that they have to keep the doors open and operate, right? It's not like you have to produce what you're sharing with your members, and it nothing's free, right? So that's the justification. I'm just wary of it being another commercialized thing and it being another vector of people, being grifted or whatever. But in all honesty, this is a more upfront and clear spiritual value proposition than a lot of other churches where they say their promises are like ephemeral or vague. This church says, if you join us for this amount of money, you can do these spiritual things with us. But it's weird to have a money gate, right? I don't know. We got to think about that because I'm not a money gate guy. One thing is by having memberships, you make it less easy to have intrusion. And that's not like intrusion by spies or like government people, blah, blah, blah. But it could also just be intrusion by people that are malfeasant for whatever reason. Maybe like if they wanted to profiteer from things or take advantage of others. And so I can understand that membership thing being some kind of a filter. But in the broader sense, if they're going to be a worldwide thing, we have to decentralize the production of the entheogens so that there won't be any costs for anyone to be a part of it. They just are, like, the steps are available, right? Like, people can help themselves to it, is where we have to end up, in my opinion. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Enough of these. I want to read their core beliefs. So in contrast to the other guy, this is their core beliefs. Cosmic unity. We believe at the heart of the entheogen-induced primary religious mystical experience is the concept of cosmic unity, the unity of all things. We also believe that when used with the proper intention and within the proper context, entheogens have the ability to reliably effectuate these experiences in humans. For us, the experience cosmic... What? Oh. For us, the experience of cosmic unity is the ultimate moral compass. I think. In that experience of divine unity with all that is, we come to understand how we should be treating other beings and the environment. We believe the age-old golden rule. They should say it still, which transcends so many religious and spiritual traditions, is experienced and downloaded through the experience of cosmic unity, especially as effectuated through an entheogen-induced primary religious mystical experience. Radical inclusion. Burning Man. In accordance with the principle and experience of cosmic unity, we believe that all beings in existence are individual fractals of one divine consciousness. This is like a lot of people believe in this. Accordingly, we believe that all humans are divine manifestations of one source of ultimate divine consciousness. Therefore, our church is committed to the radical inclusion of all aligned human beings into our membership, regardless of any of their attributes. That means if your foreskin is intact, you can still join and go to heaven, right? That means, if you were born of a low-class family, that doesn't prohibit you from being a part of this, right? Like, it's so stupid, all these religions that are exceptionalist. But I understand early on during the tribal eras of humanity, they had to say, we're the best, that was the way that they needed to survive. But now in the 21st century, it's time to move on from that. Excuse me for a moment. Principle of resonance versus dissonance. In accordance with the principle of cosmic unity, we believe in energetic resonance versus dissonance. We believe those things that serve to divide humans and other beings are dissonant with the principle of cosmic unity and should be, to the extent possible or feasible under the circumstances, avoided. So, things that serve to divide humans should be avoided. Yeah. However, those things that serve to unite humans and other beings are resonant with the principle of cosmic unity and should be sought and harnessed and supported. So just a general beneficence clause. I am nature. The church also believes that its sacrament is an extremely sacred substance which allows us to experience our inner divinity. We are famously known as the Church of I Am because we want to empower our members to stop seeking outside of themselves for the divine. Through faithfully working with our sacrament and making necessary life changes, our members can identify and communicate with their own inner divinity. So they're making a claim. They're making a solution claim. A lot of churches will do this. They say, look, give me your sorry, your weary, I'll help you, redeem you of your sin, or this or that, or I see you're in suffering, follow the Buddha and you'll find peace, right? So they think, and maybe rightfully so, they're sharing that they believe they have rituals and routines and religious programs that are successful or helpful, right? Now look, all of a sudden we get like psychiatry and the medical industry getting upset, right? You can't do care. Of course religions can provide care, idiot. Religious entities have provided care all throughout history, and you need no license to do it. Non-dogmatism. We believe in the principle of non-dogmatism. History has shown that dogmatism in religion, that is, the doctrine of separating believers versus non-believers, is undesirable and serves more to divide human beings, therefore being dissonant with the principle of cosmic unity, than to unite human beings, therefore being resonant with the principle of cosmic unity. Therefore, in accordance with our foundational belief in cosmic unity, we are a non-dogmatic church. Yay! We do not dictate dogmatic beliefs and or commands. Wow. The church does realize the importance of exploring and finding acceptable and individualized answers to many of life's ultimate, general, and specific questions. Everyone's path is different. For instance, we believe that a modicum of inner peace and tranquility can be attained by those who seek and find answers to life's ultimate questions, such as, what is the nature of reality? Where did I come from? What is the purpose of life? What is the nature of life and death, etc.? To this end, so these are things that there's not one answer to. There's not one answer to these questions. The church holds regular bi-weekly Sunday services where we explore the answers to these questions through a wide variety of ancient and modern religious and scholarly texts on these issues. So this would be what I was suggesting is a discernment group, right? Where people in a peer-based setting as equals, non-hierarchically, because there's not like a figurehead that's leading the class, but people get together to discuss, maybe somewhat with some structure, but not a lot of structure, what they're encountering and what they may be trying to comprehend but don't have a full grasp of. And then maybe there's other people that have discovered some tremendous revelations for their own lives, and they're excited to share with others, wow, I realized this humongous thing about myself, and I think there's a chance that maybe this could be helpful to you all as well, right? Now, how sad and tragic is it if we were in a setting where somebody didn't feel secure enough to share a spiritual, a strange, an unusual thing that really was significant in their life, but they were concerned people would misunderstand because they'd be judgmental, and it would be it wouldn't fit within the meaning, like the symbol structure that the people usually use, right? Like if I went to Christians and I talked about encountering machine elves on DMT, or an alien spoke to me about circuitry, or so, I don't know, right? Like they probably wouldn't have a lot of patience for that because it doesn't fit within their religious metaphors and symbols. So this being non-dogmatic is so important. Purpose of the church. We believe the purpose of our church is to provide a safe and loving container for our members' spiritual seeking. We believe that the process of seeking answers and guidance to life's ultimate, general, and specific life questions is an innate quest in humans. As such, the mission of our church is to provide a safe and loving container for our members to seek sufficient answers to these questions. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Within the context of our sacred and loving community. Universal sacrament. We believe our sacrament is the true universal sacrament. Other entheogenic sacraments, which have been used religiously for thousands of years across the globe, have been marred in recent times by identity politics and claims by some groups of complete ownership over some naturally occurring entheogenic sacraments. Whoa. Our sacrament is the true universal sacrament. That's a big claim. These guys are ballsy. So they're like, of all the things here, there are other ones that have been used, but there's identity politics and ownership claims. Huh? These claims, dissonant with the principle of cosmic unity, are not in accord with our foundation beliefs. As such, we believe that Source Creator God gifted our sacrament to all of humanity for the purpose of fulfilling the eagle and condor prophecy. Oh, see, he's got his own flavor in this. There's no dogma, but there's a prophecy. I have questions, but hey, I'm excited by this guy's, what they're doing. But still, this is a firm belief claim. No one can argue that this isn't a religion if they're saying stuff like this. Human lineage. The church believes the respect and intentional consumption of our sacrament is a human lineage, and any human being has full right and title to engage in its intentional and respectful use in accordance with the dictates of their own conscience. Whoa. Engage in its intentional and respectful use. You say, by whose terms? Respectful and intentional. In accordance with the dictates of their own conscience. Whoa. So they determine themselves. That doesn't mean that other people can't whoop their ass for being a jerk or whatever, but that's a good way of putting this, right? He's really, this is humanistic because they're vesting and trusting in the goodness of humans and the human nature and spirit. If you're given the right, if you're given the opportunity, they're trusting that by and large humans will do well with what they have rather than do ill. Authoritarian people are not like this, right? They're not humanistic. They believe people need to be controlled. People are not to be trusted, so it's a different angle. Regardless of their sex, race, ethnicity, bloodline, lineage. Yes, thank you. Integration as a spiritual religious practice. The church believes that integrating entheogen-induced spiritual religious experiences, while secondary to the sacramental consumption of entheogens, is also a very important part of our overall spiritual religious practice. Integration. That's like a psyche term of after you've done trips or entheogens, you need to integrate what you've experienced and basically, put your little putty ball back together of how you understand the world. And if you do a rough entry back and you don't have opportunities to kind of settle back down and put things back together, then you might not integrate in a way that's cohesive, and it could be a troublesome thing. So they're saying that integration as a secondary spiritual practice is important. We place high value on the primary religious spiritual experience over secondary religious phenomena. On the fundamental level, the spiritual religious practices of our church are no different than that of most other established religions. Most established religions rely on the text of a holy book, usually mediated through a third-party clergy, as a primary means of imparting answers to ultimate questions, as well as general and specific life guidance to adherents. Yep. These are what the academics call secondary religious phenomena, as they are not based on a direct spiritual religious experience of the adherent. Do you grasp this? So all of these things are performative and are a secondary, kind of like they're just like they're just an attachment and a peripheral around the direct, immediate experience of religion and religiosity, which is within yourself, subjectively, consciously, immediately, rather than through third party, middlemen, literally middlemen. Our church relies on the direct spiritual religious experience as the primary means through which our members connect with the divine and receive the answers and guidance they seek. Through integration, our members share their experiences openly in a sacred and loving container so that they may receive insight from others and better understand the messages they receive from the divine. Reciprocity of energy exchange, sacred reciprocity. We believe in the sanctity of reciprocal energy exchange, that is, sacred reciprocity. In all of our relations, the church believes we should strive to enter into equal energy exchanges with other beings and with Mother Earth. We should respect and be good stewards, especially of Mother Earth, to the extent feasible at all times. That's nice. I like that. Enthean-induced primary religious mystical experiences. The church relies primarily on our members' own primary religious mystical experiences, working with our sacrament as the primary means by which we seek and attain answers to all of life's ultimate questions and to provide guidance on life's general and specific questions. The process of seeking and attaining answers to our questions is supported through group and one-on-one integration groups and meetings. In this scenario, integration providers, these are people that are compensated, maybe, and other community members help other members make sense and discern guidance from their primary religious mystical experiences. So is there room for licensed trained providers, people that are providing this as a service, as a business? Why not? Like, I think if you want to be a part of this and you want to help be a psychedelic therapist and do this and that and charge, then absolutely. But I think it's important in tandem of those services, if people want to spend like a boutique or have like a different kind of support, I think it's very important that we develop peer support practices and then almost like improvised support communities, or if we had social standards to support each other, then the support would kind of emerge, I believe, in like an improvisational way. Maybe that's too optimistic, but it's better than nothing, right? Like if we had social standards and people understood how to take care of others if they're having a bad time, then there's only a better chance of things going right? So I'm losing track of, I'm losing steam with my voice, so we won't go much longer. Make sense and discern guidance from their primary religious/mystical experiences. So you got these messages. How do we make sense of the signal, right? Like, how do you disentangle it? They're going through a lot to justify themselves, but they have to. Therefore, our church is fundamentally very similar to other established religions in that our practice involves the discernment and interpretation of religious mystical experiences. However, our church differs from most established religions in that we rely strictly on primary as opposed to secondary religious phenomena. I still think secondary is important. Like, I think the religious accounts and writings, right? Like, not everyone has time or even the engine to have, like, go on trips or do religious ceremonies. And so the secondary religious elements where there's accounts or teachings or all those like accessories of direct, immediate religious encounter, that provides a scaffold for many, many people that otherwise wouldn't be, they don't have the stomach or the, even they may be in such a dire state that it's not a good idea for them to do things like entheogens, right? So obviously they don't cut it off completely, but their emphasis is on the primary. Sacred reunion of science/medicine with nature, spirit, religion, faith. We believe that our Holy Sacrament represents a holy and divine reunion of science/medicine and nature, spirit, religion. Sacred mushroom substrates. Respect for divine free will and radical self-expression. Woo! These are natural human rights, you guys. In accordance with the principle of cosmic unity, we believe that all humans should have the space to express themselves in any manner to the extent it does not intrude upon the divine free will of another human being. So in general, do what you want, express what you want, as long as it's not, this is like non-aggression. Like if you're, screaming bloody murder all day, yeah, it's fair for someone to ask you to quiet a little, right? We believe that such radical expression is a pure and sacred expression of our divine creator source God and should be respected as such. This is like righteous anger, holy anger, like when a pregnant woman is mad. That's like a godly anger, right? Spirit permeates all planes of existence. We believe the spiritual plane of existence permeates all other planes of existence, physical and mental. More specifically, as it relates to human beings, their spiritual being or essence permeates through both the mental and physical planes. In fact, we believe that these planes of existence are so interwoven or intertwined that they cannot truly be separated. The sacred... Oh my gosh, how long? Oh, we're almost done, guys. All right. Ooh. The sacramental consumption of entheogens as shared world religious heritage. Yeah. No one has exclusive control over this. We all share it as human beings, humankind. The Church believes the sacramental consumption of entheogens as a spiritual religious practice is a very ancient practice which was consummated in all major areas of the world in antiquity. All over the world. There's no land where it wasn't present. As such, these practices are our shared world religious heritage. Yes, thank you. The shift back toward these practices and the primary religious mystical experiences induced thereby we see occurring today. Oh, is this the thing? Am I missing words? Whatever. Is the shift back to where humanity left off so many years ago. Being called back to entheogen-based spiritual religious practices is a perfectly natural evolution in human behavior and thought. Exactly. At this point, we don't need to get it from someone else. We don't need to go to an old book that's very old and doesn't, is not relevant We don't have to go to other people or get involved in pyramid schemes. This is direct access to spiritual experience, which also includes the resolution of that access to have spiritual wellness and feel whole and feel a sense of connection and purpose and harmony with the world. So this, I'm into this. Like, this is pretty great. The thing I'm gonna blow it up. Hold on. I'm gone, guys. I'm gone. They have a marketplace, and check this out. Just straight up, you can get a 30-day microdosing guide, but also you can get psilomethoxin mushrooms, and each one is let's see here. They say how much is in each one. So 150 milligrams, so 0.15 grams. And they just sell these and ship these around the States, like nothing. You know what? You become a member, this or that. So I don't know. That's the church. I'm curious, right? Like I'm curious. And I guess I'm glad that these people are, being brave and pioneering something. They're taking a risk. They're saying something that other people would think would be embarrassing, maybe, right? Like they're claiming a new religion. But this is something that I'm sure is saving people's lives more than they're harming it. The last thing I want to show, and I found these people, I don't know, man. Look at this. And this is the commercial thing too. Let me do this. I'm going to change it. This. And then that. How's that, huh? It's so big. So these people have a big site. They say all these things, which is nice. They talk about the offerings. How do we make it legible, right? The Divine Mother Goddess in Europe, in Greece, the third queendom Ergot, and the Great Spirit and the fungal cousins, mushroom ceremonies. They have priestesses. They're experienced ceremonialists and sacrament carriers. And they'll guide you through to remember your ancestral self, to experience revelations and insights about your true divine nature, and perhaps to expand your own understanding of yourself as an immortal soul. So you go here and you're tripping, and hold on. Oh, it's not showing up, right? Uh-oh, it's too big. There we go. So you see the immortal soul. I don't know. That's like there is some dogma there, right? Like imagine if you start doing entheogens, you're very suggestible, and they start talking about your divine nature and your immortal. I guess whatever, right? So here's the thing. The sacrament, the mushrooms, is a gift from the great creator and from the church. They can't sell it. The priestesses, as mushroom carriers, may accept monetary donations for their services, but never for the sacrament themselves, right? Additionally, they have offerings. So they do church member things, right? And so in essence, you pay for a membership, like anything, of course, $44 a year, and you get access. Honestly, that's not a big barrier to entry, but this is like, I don't know, this is hard. We have to question, is this just like a fancy yoga studio, or are these like this is like a pioneering rogue church that is actually helping people. And the reason I get wary, and I'm very biased, is I click on their priestess tab, and sure enough, we have Annalisa Jarnaza, Anastasia Allington, and Katie Bowerbird. Like, I'm sure these ladies are nice, but this is like the what is it? It's like that identity ego branding thing, you know, like is anything real anymore? Are these just pretty girls that charge money to talk to people about psychedelics? I guess so. And maybe it's important, like, they're skilled providers, right? Like, there's a role for shamans and stuff. We'll close it down. People that have skills to share, like if you're a skilled guide, spiritual guide, or teacher, or whatever, or supporter, why shouldn't they be paid? Like, that's something that a lot of young professionals have to get over, is this imposter syndrome of, I've been trained to do this thing, and I know I can do it well, but I feel like I don't deserve to have a job for some reason, right? And so it's like people think that, like, oh, I don't deserve to be paid for this. Maybe they should be paid for what they're doing. But my wariness is that it attracts a crowd of people that are kind of leechy, and they want to plant themselves into your life, and then plant themselves in a place of high trust and influence, and then also ask you to give them money on a continuous basis. So put all those together. You're highly suggestible on entheogens. They want to be with you in a very intimate setting where they're, in essence, they have the opportunity to lead or guide you, and they're asking you continuously to give them money. Right? That's why I didn't like being a therapist. I didn't agree with it because the relationship was contingent on them paying, and me caring about somebody. If I really cared about somebody but they stopped paying me, maybe I would still care about them, but the performance of our roles requires that I not see them for therapy until they have money to pay me. Otherwise, I'm treating them like they're not a client and they're like a buddy or something, right? And so it's like, okay, we can be as nice and like, I'll write a Christmas card to my therapist with, you know, whatever, but ultimately it's a people got offended when I would say this. It's a prostitutional relationship. There is not, like, the stripper that says they care, maybe they do, but like ultimately they just do because they're paying them, right? Like, come on, guys. And that's why I think that peer support over these paid, that professionalized kind of thing, I highly favor peer support and that kind of like volunteer emergent kind of thing. You get issues with peer support where people aren't trained adequately, or people actually commit crimes or like transgressions on people in that role of being a peer supporter. And so that's why, like, the licensed professionals, their argument is, oh, if we're trained and licensed, then there's a lower chance of abuse. Well, guess what, jerks? There's tons of licensed professionals that are doing all kinds of violations, and so that doesn't really solve it either. It's just like a stopgap. My other complaint with licensed professionals is they are restricted from what they can do by their ethical regulations. There are things that they must do no matter what, and things that they cannot do whatsoever. And so their allegiance has to be to themselves and their own career. If I need something from somebody, but that makes them jeopardize their own livelihood. It's not fair for me to expect them to, or even ask them to, do those things that would compromise themselves. But that also means that the therapist, as a helping professional, is structurally inadequate, because they cannot be creative. They cannot step out of the square or the little cloistered garden that their therapy regulations set for them. And they can't do things that are powerful. And that's the thing of like, maybe we do need a shaman that is doing the didgeridoo sound healing, and then blowing tobacco smoke, and bringing the puke bucket over to help me out if I'm like, wow, whatever. Maybe that is the way. But the other angle for me is that there's all kinds of novel ways that are maybe more suitable to the modern era, that like all these different manners or rituals that we can invent and create and discover, of using these entheogens spiritually, and doing it in a way that's productive and conducive to harmony, spiritual wholeness, growth, connection. So I'm excited that there are these little rogue renegade churches popping up. I think it bodes well for the future. The thing I wish is that there would be clarification from state and federal governments about, are these places operating in good grace of the law, or are they on thin ice, and at any moment, authority figures can descend upon them and just abuse them. And so that's why, like, when we read those websites, you could see the people writing them tried to make a very, very exhaustive case for, it's like, we're a real religion. We're a real religion. Please don't persecute us. Right? So we'll see. It's in flux, but we can be hopeful that there's more brave people that are stepping out of the line and trying to create and innovate spiritual, human technology is too much of a fancy word. I think of a spiritual human hardship, which we sorely need in an era where so many people just want to blast each other, right? So with all that said, thank you for joining. If you did join, I'm going to play out a really old video. This is like old school computer graphics, computer music. There's like a pan flute. There are these great keyboard stabs. There's electric guitar. There's everything. And the reason it applies here is transpermia. So hold on. Transpermia is this idea that life on the planet Earth may not have all originated from the planet itself. And so just like sperm, there may have been life that was on a comet or asteroid or meteor or something like that flew through the galaxies and through the universe and somehow smashed into the Earth. Now, was that all life on Earth? I don't think so, right? But the transpermia theory may be that an asteroid could have had psychedelic mushroom spores on it. Mushroom spores are one of the things that can survive like sub-zero temperature, the zero gravity, zero pressure. Like, these spores can be completely dehydrated and dead. And then when they land somewhere else, if they have the right setting, they can just like blossom and spore up. And so just imagine, right? Just think about how goofy and wild this is. If the mushrooms and the psychedelic fungus that's on the Earth may be the alien intelligence that's here. And it's not like they're like aliens that are in the mushrooms, but there's like a spiritual trampoline built into these things. Like it's undeniable. And if that is what made our life here as humans the way it is that mushroom spores came on a asteroid or something, right? Like, so just enjoy that thought for what it's worth. I think it's pretty awesome. And then I'm going to play this little ditty and we'll go on with our lives. We'll see how my voice does. I'm not expecting to stream tomorrow, but I'll try to maybe stream on Sunday. Huh? I think. We'll see, yeah? I'll try my best, but honestly, I don't know. All right, here we go. Uh-oh. All right. That was Beyond the Magic Eye, Seeds of Life. Or the Mind's Eye. There you go. All right. Good night, y'all. If you watch, cheers. Otherwise, whatever. We're going to save humanity, okay? Easy. I'll see you.